D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds, and welcome to my week in review, where I come to you every Sunday with 3 entertainment stories that I personally find interesting, and then we discuss them down below. You can also find down below in the description the 3 articles that I read to bring you this story, and you can read them and make up your own decision. I also just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is going through their annual bot purge and their old account cleanse, and there will, of course, be always some collateral damage. So I ask that you could please like, share, and subscribe my videos, and I thank you in advance. So let's get started on these 3 stories. So for my first story, Zac Efron has found his way into the Disney Plus original at last. Monday afternoon, reports surfaced from The Hollywood Reporter suggesting that the Baywatch star had been cast in 3 Men and a Baby reboot for Disney-owned streamer. Now, Efron's the first star attached to the project, being crafted by Disney's live-action film division solely for Disney Plus. Gordon Gray, a collaborator with Ben Affleck on The Way Back, is producing. Now, the original feature initially hit theaters in 1987 and starred Tom Selleck, Ted Danson, and Steve Guttenberg. The Leonard Nimoy feature went on to become the first ever Disney live-action film to make over $100 million at the domestic box office. The commercial success led to the sequel 3 years later, titled 3 Men and a Little Lady, which wasn't as good as the first one, but I liked it. Nimoy wasn't a part of the sequel. Now, the remake has a script from Will Reschel. He did Hot Air and is actively searching for a director. Now, 3 Men and a Baby is just the next reboot in a line for an ever-expanding library of original content on Disney+. Now, earlier this month, The House of Mouse announced Mulan would be going to the service as a premium on-demand offering alongside a limited theatrical release. Now, after a career launched by Disney thanks to his involvement in the High School Musical franchise, Efron has appeared in indie hits such as The Beach Bum and Extremely Wick, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Now, he's currently starring on Netflix's Down to Earth, a docuseries showcasing the actor as he traverses the planet in search of stability. Efron currently produces the series under his own production banner, and it will be interesting what character he will play in 3 Men and a Baby. Now, at first I thought he was going to play the Ted Danson role, but since he was on that docuseries on Netflix and he has the beard and everything, I think that maybe he should play the Tom Selleck role, and I think that would be great. I personally love the original movie. It's so good. I remember, I haven't seen it in a little while, but the last time I did see it, I remember still liking it. So I think that I think it's a good choice. I like Zac Efron. Who doesn't like Zac Efron, you know? So that's my first story of the day. So for my second story of the day, DC Comics has reportedly experienced a major shakeup, with editor-in-chief Bob Harris and several other editors among the employees laid off and Jim Lee removed from his publishing role. Now, we learned that several employees, including Harris, editors Mark Doyle, Brian Cunningham, and Andy Corey, VP of Marketing Jonah Woodland, Senior VP Hank Knoltz, and VP of Global Publishing and Digital Strategy Bobby Chase, are all out at the publisher. Now, Lee remains at the company as DC's Chief Creative Officer, but he no longer holds the title of publisher. Lee's new role will be to act as a liaison between DC and other brands of Warner Brothers Media. Also, Warner Brothers is in talks to bring in a new general manager from the world of esports, which I don't see how that works, to lead the division, but talks have not yet finalized. Now, more cuts are also expected, and DC Comics didn't comment at the time of this recording. Now, the layoffs are part of a wider restructuring at the parent company of Warner Brothers, caused by the entertainment company experiencing huge dips in profits due to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Warner Brothers has allegedly laid off approximately 600 employees, including CFO Kim Williams, as part of this restructuring. Warner Brothers is expected to elevate HBO Max and expanding its scope globally, which is expected to lead to a shuttering of the DC Universe streaming service. Now, most of the DC Universe's staff were also laid off as part of the cuts. The news comes as Warner Bros. Prepares to launch its DC Fandom event, a massive online event meant to replace some of the buzz and excitement typically found at conventions like San Diego Comic-Con. However, DC Fandom also represents some of the challenges faced by Warner Bros. In recent months, the company had to move its eagerly anticipated Wonder Woman 1984 movie due to a cascading theater shutdowns. And it has also seen production of several TV projects delayed due to the pandemic. DC Comics was directly affected by the pandemic when the comic stores in the US were forced to shut down for nearly a month after Diamond Comics announced it was shutting down due to safety concerns. DC ended the forced industry-wide shutdown when it announced it was working with newly formed alternative distributors. DC later ended their exclusive distribution contract with Diamond in favor of these new distributors. Now, while DC has announced several high-profile projects like Tom King and Mitch Gerads' Rorschach, other long-term plans for the company have seemingly been on hold for months, even before the pandemic temporarily shut down the comics direct market. DC has also faced several challenges in recent years, ranging from the unsuccessful launch of the planned generational event meant to unify the various eras of the DC universe into a more cohesive continuity to the poor PR related to the company's Black Label, a mature line of comics featuring a mix of in-continuity and out-of-continuity stories. However, despite its struggles in the movie and direct comics market, DC has found success in bookstores thanks to a line of graphic novels aimed at younger readers. Now, we still have yet to hear any word of the future plans of all those publishing plans and everything at the time of this filming of this video. I do just have to say that this is a bummer. I mean, this is going to be a lot of comic book shops out of business, and, you know, it could be the death of comic books altogether. I mean, basically what they're going to do is there's no longer going to be direct weekly comic books. As myself, I go to the comic books once a week. Sometimes I go every other week, and I just pick up the weekly comic books. That won't happen anymore. Now I have to wait until they get a collection of them called a graphic novel, and I have to go and pick those up, which they will sell to comic book stores. But at the same time, for someone like myself, when I go in weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the week, I usually go in and I just like to browse and see what's going on. And that just means more money that I would have to spend all at once. You know, when you go in, if you pick up an extra comic book, that's like $3 or $4. But if you're picking up a whole graphic novel, that can be from $13 to $20 depending on how thick it is. And so I just say it's for someone like myself, it's like, yes, listen, I came in to spend $20, not 40 or 50. And it just is a bummer, and I really am sad. I really don't want comic books to go to only digital, which will have weekly comic books, but it's just bad news bears all the way. So that's my second story of the week. So for my third and last story of the week, it looks like things have taken a turn for the worst when it comes to the Netflix adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. After the project was announced, fans were rightfully worried for the series until it was announced that Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, I hope I'm saying his name right, would be assisting Netflix on the job. The creators of the beloved cartoon were praised for stepping in to help, but it seems that the pair have decided to step away from the series. As it turns out, DiMartino and Konietzko published individual statements about their exit from the adaptation Avatar: The Last Airbender, and was announced a few years back with a key visual featuring Appa and Aang. Now, audience were initially upset to hear the news, but reassurance from these co-creators slowly turned the tide. But upon their exit, fans are beginning to jump ship as they resign themselves to the worst. After all, the live-action adaptation of the cartoon is known as one of Hollywood's biggest flops, and the fandom hasn't let that go yet. Now, I just have to say, DiMartino, he went on and he said some pretty nice things about his was pretty nice, and he was just like, hey, it's not working out, we're gonna leave, we're having creative differences. But Brian Konietzko, he went on to, and I'm gonna put his up there. I won't read through it. I'll let you pause and read through it. But he was basically saying like it's a negative work environment over at Netflix, and they do not support you creatively, which is so crazy because you think they would. Now, as of now, fans are left to react with heartbreak over the shocking announcement. At this time, there is no word on where Avatar: The Last Airbender is with development, and Netflix hopes that they can get an upgrade on the project before long. And like I said, I can't understand why you would not let the creators of the show not necessarily have free reign, but pretty much have free reign, because I think they know what they're doing. The live action movie didn't do so great, but there's plenty of reason why it didn't do so great. But this is just bad news bears again as far as this show goes. I mean, I don't know why they're doing a retelling of an old story. Katara and them as adults while they're trying to build Republic City, and I'm pro that storyline. I totally want to see that. I want to see them as adults when their powers or their bending is fully developed and they're ready to go and everything. It's just, this is just so crazy and I don't understand it. So you guys, go ahead and tell me what you guys think about these three stories down below. How do you feel about Zac Efron starring in Three Men and a Baby reboot? How do you feel about reboots, or do you think Hollywood needs to just get new material? How do you feel about the shakeup at Disney or at DC and a lot of people being fired? It's super sad when people lose their jobs. It's so crazy, and I feel bad for them. However, the comic book industry did need to get shaken up, and maybe this is partially their own fault. And then how do you feel about the creators of Avatar leaving the Avatar live-action adaptation on Netflix? Are you guys happy about this? Are you sad about this? If you're not sad about this, that's crazy. Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I just have to tell you right now, I will not be here next Sunday because it will be DC Fandom on Saturday, and I will be covering that all weekend. So, like I said, go ahead and leave all your comments down below because it feeds the algorithm, and I will see you guys on the next Week in Review. You guys have a good week. Bye. Hey nerds, if you like this video, go ahead and click that Geek What icon and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and join me every Sunday with my Week in Review.